Have you ever left a conversation feeling completely drained, but you can't explain why? Not yelled at, not insulted, just off. Like something was taken from you, but you can't name what. You replay the conversation, you try to figure out what went wrong, and somehow every single time, you end up blaming yourself. That feeling? It's not random. It's not anxiety. It's not you being too sensitive. It's a pattern. And today, we're going to expose exactly who's causing it and how they do it without ever raising their voice. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'm going to give you something most people never get, a word-for-word script you can use the next time this person tries to make you feel like the problem. You'll want that. You've seen the content about narcissists, the ones who rage, the ones who belittle you in public, the ones who call you names and make scenes. You know those red flags, you've memorized the checklist. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Some of the most damaging people in your life will never appear on that checklist, ever. They won't yell, they won't humiliate you in front of others. They'll actually seem kind, patient, even a little fragile. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. Meet the covert narcissist. Unlike the classic narcissist who needs the spotlight, the covert narcissist operates in the shadows. They're the friend who supports you but always reminds you how much they sacrificed to do it. The partner who never argues but somehow every disagreement ends with you apologizing. The family member who seems like the victim in every story, including stories about things they did to you. Here's what makes this so destructive. Because they never do anything obviously wrong, you can't point to it. When you try to explain it to someone else, you sound paranoid, you sound ungrateful. You start to wonder if you're the problem. And the longer you stay around them, the more your own perception of reality starts to break down. Psychologists have a name for that: gaslighting. And covert narcissists are the masters of it. But here's the thing, it gets more specific than that. Because they don't just gaslight randomly, they follow a pattern, a predictable set of moves, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. We're going to walk through all of it, but first, you need to understand why they're like this, because that's the part most videos skip. Why they became this way. Covert narcissism doesn't come from nowhere. Research in personality psychology suggests it usually develops from one of two childhood environments. Either they were excessively praised and never learned to handle failure, or they were chronically shamed and learned that vulnerability is dangerous. The result is the same: a person with a fragile ego hidden beneath a carefully constructed image. But unlike the overt narcissist who protects that ego through dominance, the covert narcissist protects it through victimhood, guilt, and passive control. They've learned that the safest way to feel superior is to make others feel responsible for their pain. Now let's talk about how they actually do it, because this is where it gets uncomfortably familiar. The 4 core moves of a covert narcissist. Move 1, the invisible guilt trip. They don't ask for what they want directly, instead they sigh. They go quiet. They say things like, "No, it's fine, don't worry about me." And then they wait for you to feel guilty enough to ask what's wrong. If you don't ask, you're selfish. If you do ask, you're suddenly responsible for fixing them. This is intentional. Whether they're conscious of it or not, it works. Every time. Move 2, the subtle comparison. They'll compliment you, but with a slight edge. "You're so confident, I could never do that. I've always been too sensitive." On the surface, that sounds humble, but what they're actually doing is positioning themselves as the more emotionally evolved, more feeling, more complex person, and subtly suggesting you're a little shallow. You walk away feeling vaguely criticized, but you can't say why, because they complimented you, right? Move 3, the victimhood reversal. This one is the most disorienting. You bring up something they did that hurt you, a completely valid concern. You present it calmly, and somehow within 2 minutes, you're comforting them. They're the one who's hurt. They're the one who can't believe you'd think that of them. They're the one in tears. Your original concern? Buried, gone, never addressed. Move 4. The long memory. Covert narcissists keep score. Not openly, but privately. They remember every time you let them down, every time you didn't show up the way they wanted, every time you chose yourself. And they bring it out slowly over time in small doses, just enough to keep you feeling like you owe them, like you're always a little in debt. Now here's something important, and this is the part most psychology videos won't tell you. Recognizing these moves doesn't mean the person in your life is evil. Some of them are doing this completely unconsciously. They learned these patterns to survive, and they've never examined them. But here's the truth that matters for you. Intent doesn't reduce impact. Whether they mean to or not, the damage to your sense of reality is real, and you're allowed to protect yourself from it. Which brings us to the 3 most important insights from everything we just covered. Insight 1. You were trained to doubt yourself. This is not a character flaw, it's a conditioned response. When you spend enough time around someone who consistently reframes reality in their favor, your brain starts to outsource its judgment to them. You stop trusting your own read on situations because every time you've expressed it, it's been gently or not so gently invalidated. The first step out is simply this. Write it down before you talk to them. Write down what happened, how you felt, and what you want to say. Not to show them, just for yourself. That document becomes your anchor to your own reality when the conversation tries to pull you away from it. Insight 2. Their fragility is real, but it's not your responsibility. Here's the thing that makes covert narcissists so hard to leave or confront. They genuinely suffer. The fragile ego isn't an act. The sensitivity isn't fake. They really do experience shame and pain intensely. But suffering doesn't give someone the right to manage their pain by destabilizing yours. Compassion and accountability can coexist. You can understand why someone is the way they are and still hold a firm boundary with them. In fact, that's the only kind of compassion that's sustainable. Insight 3. The pattern breaks the moment you name it. Covert manipulation thrives in ambiguity. The reason it works is because you can't quite articulate what's wrong. The moment you can name the move, out loud, clearly, calmly, the dynamic shifts. Not because they immediately change, they won't, but because you stop being confused. And a person who isn't confused is much harder to manipulate. This is why I promised you a script at the start of this video, and here it is. The next time a covert narcissist tries to reverse the conversation back onto themselves, here's what you say, calmly, without raising your voice. I hear that you're hurting right now, and I do care about that, but I need us to stay on the thing I brought up before we move to anything else. Can we do that? That's it. Simple. Firm. It doesn't attack them, it doesn't invalidate their feelings, but it refuses to let your concern be buried. If they try again, repeat it, exactly the same words. Don't escalate, don't explain more, don't apologize, just repeat it. The repetition itself communicates that you are no longer available to be redirected. If this video helped you see something you've been trying to name for a long time, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Not to call anyone out, just because understanding this stuff changes things. Subscribe to Psyche 1.0 if you're not already. We go deep here, not surface level, not just definitions. We give you the tools to actually use this in real life. And if you've dealt with a covert narcissist, drop it in the comments. Not the story necessarily, just one word that describes how being around them made you feel. I want to see that. Next week, we're going somewhere most people aren't ready to go. Because here's what nobody asks after a relationship with a covert narcissist. Why did I stay so long? Not because you were weak, not because you were stupid, but because something in you recognized them. Something familiar. Something from long before you ever met them. Next week, we're talking about trauma bonding. why your nervous system can become addicted to the very thing that's hurting you, and how to break it. You won't want to miss it.